this is going to be a very candid discussion on Squid Game Season 2, what are my thoughts on it, and consider this video just as a discussion on Squid Game Season 2 because it is going to be a very laid back and a very candid kind of a discussion. So I encourage you to please share your thoughts in the comment section as well, because as I said, it is going to be discussion. Other than this, I've also made a quick review of my thoughts of Squid Game Season 2, in which I've very quickly discuss what I felt overall about the season without sharing any of the plot details. So you can check that out if you have not seen the Squid Game Season 2. And if you have already seen it, sit back, relax, because this is going to be a nice little discussion. So the thing is, the point at which Season 1 ended, that point was giving an indication of what Season 2 majorly is going to be about. And that thing was revenge. Our main character was set out to take revenge on the man who started the games. The main revenge was to just take down everyone who is involved in the game, just take down the masked man who was creating all those games. So that was the main point of entry into Season 2. And then after that, they realized that okay, one of the main USPs of Season 1 was the games, Squid Game. The literal name of the show is Squid Game, so therefore they have to have some games. And therefore it was really a very tricky challenge to include the games in Season 2, when the main conflict of Season 2 was going to be around the revenge of our main character. And I think that amalgamation or that mixture, to hit that right mixture, was very difficult, and that was going to be the entry point in Season 2. But at the end of it, I still felt they did a fine job. They did a good enough job to give us that revenge storyline, and also to give us that natural integration of those games, because as I said, the literal name of the season is Squid Game, the series is Squid Game. After that, another thing that was pretty important to show, that was what has happened to our main character. He has all that money, he almost went to the United States, but he gets that call and then he returns back, and we just knew that he was going to take the revenge. But how he's going to take the revenge, where he's going to spend that money, how he's going to live, that was pretty interesting to see. After that, the detective storyline was also damn important, because it seemingly looked like that in Season 1 our detective has died and his brother was the one who shot him. And then in this season we see that he is well and truly alive. He has been demoted from being a detective to now being a traffic police officer. I think that storyline was also interesting, because these are the two people who were perhaps the most integral part to the revenge story, to just finding out, to just uncovering the truth of their masked man and the whole Squid Game organization. That was pretty important to show, and I think that was pretty nicely done as well. I enjoyed that. And another thing I really enjoyed was that the amount of time they took to get into the games, because inevitably we were going to get the games. But for me at least, other than games, the only thing that was very important to me was the revenge, because that was the main pertinent storyline. And they really invested the whole first two episodes in just setting up the revenge storyline. And then in the third episode, we see that they are actually going to play the games. So that was nice that they really took time. There are 7 episodes, and out of the 7 episodes, first 2 episodes were entirely dedicated to the revenge storyline, just to set it up. That was pretty nicely done. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that and I appreciated that, because as I said, that was the most important thing for me at least. After that, the plan that they set up to take down the organization was very nicely set up. But then we all know that the marksman, he is the legend, and therefore he somehow manages to make way, and he somehow manages to get our main character in the limo and take him away. And then all the trail behind him, that was all gone. Then after that, the tracker that he put into his teeth, that was also gone. So yeah, we always knew that the game is going to be inevitable, but how they get to the game, that was pretty important to show. Basically, it shouldn't feel forced, and in this season, it didn't really feel forced. By the way, in episode number 1, the conversation scene at the end between our main guy and the recruiter. Wow, what great piece of acting from both the characters. Top notch acting performance there. And then the thing that they tried to do differently in this season, that was one of the best things for me, that was the inclusion of the marksman. The marksman himself enrolled as player 001. He gets into the game, and the moment of his entry is also very nicely written. he enters when the scores are tied up, that do people want to play the game or do they want to leave. The scoreboard was tied up, the scoreboard was tied, and then the marksman enters. There's just all suspense built behind him, and then we get to know, okay, this is the marksman and he favors of playing the game, he favors in playing the game. But even after that, how he quickly targets our main guy and how he quickly builds up a relationship with him. And you notice every time there is a big moment in the show centering around our main character. I'm absolutely sorry because I am just calling our main character our main character. He does have a name, but it's difficult to pronounce and all, so you can understand. But anyways, our main character, whenever there is some emotion shown our main character, or he has to take a very important decision regarding the game, always in the background we can see the masked man. We can always see 001 from behind and how he is just observing our main character. That was pretty nicely done as well. And it felt like our 001 player was always trying to see that is our main character gone over the edge. In the sense, I mean that from the start he was like, I am going to take my players home, I am going to save everyone, I am going to take you down. That was the main motive of our main guy. But then how money changes everyone, how debt changes everyone, that was the main point of conflict of our 001 player. And therefore every time there was a big movement surrounding this with our main character, 001 was there in the background just observing nicely that is this the breaking point, or now is the breaking point, or now is the breaking point. That was nice. He was always observing. After that, I really applauded what the new incentives they brought into the game, because definitely 001 took some feedback, and then he included the 4th clause in the consent form, the form that they fill up at the start. In the first season there were only 3 options, and now they deliberately added the 4th option, that there is going to be a voting after each game. But this is very interesting. Again, they show that the biggest incentive in human life is money. Nothing against money, nothing tops money, nothing tops the incentive of money. Every time there were people who wanted to pay off debt, because there every time there's going to be 2 types of people. One who think they can pay off the debt and they still want to live, and the other, they don't care about living because they don't have anything to live for, just they want is money. And they are those thinkers where they think, okay, just one more game, these are just kids game, we can handle this, just one more game, and after that I'm out. I get the 200 million, I get whatever million, I just get and I go, I just get the money and I go. That was the main thinking behind it, and that I felt that was a very interesting inclusion that they had for this season. Number 1, the inclusion of 001 in the game, and the number 2, the inclusion of this incentive of you can just have the voting after each game, but even after that people won't leave. And that really shows that money is the biggest motivator. But there were a lot of negatives in this season. For example, lack of emotions. The first season had great characters, great character arcs, great character relationships, great episode writing, and a ton of emotions. Characters were written so beautifully and the interpersonal relationships were built up so beautifully that we always felt for the characters. We got emotionally connected to the characters. Whenever a major character would die, we feel their absence. We feel it was a sad moment, and that was clearly missing in season 2. For example, in the episode where there's this big game in which they are playing double player, but only one will live, so our main guy teams up with the old man. The old man has to die. That was so brilliantly written. That scene alone was so good, but nothing of that sort we can see in season 2. But there were a few good characters in this season 2. For example, the trans character, then our grandmother really, I mean, I thought they tried to give every emotion in this season through the grandmother, because she was, I mean the mother, not the grandmother, but you know, she was there like a mother to every character, to that pregnant girl as well, to the trans girl as well, to everyone she was like a mother. She was always there to help, she was always there to care like a mother. So I felt every emotion in this season was channeled through the character of the mother. It paid off, but it was still in the lack side. Then what they did with the trans character was very good, because first of all, before changing genders, that guy was in the army, and how that actually shapes up the climax. You all know, you have seen it. That was pretty good because it really gave that full circle moment. People really didn't want to even team up with him, but at the end they were actually following her orders. That was nice, and I'm sure we are going to see a lot of her in season 3, and she's really going to be a very, very, very important character in season 3. By the way, season 3 is also going to come up of this season, and the shooting of season 3 was done simultaneously with season 2. That means season 3 has already been shot, and season 3 is actually in post production now, and season 3 will come out in the year 2025. That means 2025 Stranger Things, Stranger Things is final season, season number 5. Squid Game season 3 final season, and Wednesday season 2 will also come out. Great times ahead. And that is the reason why the climax didn't really hit us, because it was incomplete. And it was incomplete, really it was incomplete, because in season 3 we are going to get the whole payoff, because there are so many open ends that they have kept. The detective storyline, then the marksman has actually gone back to being the marksman, then our main character, he was almost shot, but then his friend was shot, and it feels like incomplete, because it is incomplete, and it will be completed in the 3rd season. That means after season 1 they didn't really have a proper plan for where they are going in season 2 and 3, or whatever season that they were planning to make. But then they kind of figured out that okay, we can kind of make a story out of it, and then make this a big enough story that we can use that story to fulfill 2 seasons. That was their main thought process or anything, or the idea behind it. I think season 1 was a complete season, season 2 is an incomplete season, and it really is like this, that season 2 and season 3 together consist of one single story, and that was their intention. That really sacrificed season 2, because every payoff that we'll have, it will be in season 3. So season 2 definitely feels incomplete in story, incomplete in emotions, incomplete in the payoff, incomplete in the climax, everything. Okay, so I think I've covered every point that I have written, and as I said, this is just going to be a discussion, so I highly encourage you to please go down in the comment section and please share your thoughts on all of these things as well. And you can check out my quick review too, and you can just check out some of the videos on my channel as well. And please, if you like the content, please subscribe the channel, and as always, thank you so much for watching.